Uja, greetings. I am Sunu Sadna. Welcome to our early morning ancient Egyptian devotional dedicated to Goddess Net in all her mystic forms, gods and goddesses who are derived from her transcendental essence. The liturgy, which you will be able to see on screen, is recited in the ancient Egyptian language, the Metu Neter. English and Brazilian Portuguese translations is provided for you. You can see these translations on screen directly below the hieroglyphic text transliteration. You are also welcome to participate by chanting along in your worship space, home, or wherever you may happen to be during the service. Or you are also welcome to listen quietly in a contemplative mood. Following the devotional, known as Uwashu in the Kemetic language, the recitation of the liturgy and meditation, known as Uwa in the Kemetic language, practice, we will have a brief wisdom, which is Rek in the Kemetic language, teaching by Sehu Khepera Ank, leader and priest of the Karnak Temple Temple of Net. Before we begin, please remember to mute all devices. We will now begin. Presented on the screen at the moment is a stone-carved depiction of the facing pylons of the Temple of Net from the statue of Akhenaten. On the left and right sides are the pylons in which one of the symbols of Goddess Net sits atop of a papyrus standard. Her emblem is her two arrows crossed and tied to her shield. This symbolizes the protection and resurrection of the soul within this place, the temple. Behind the emblems of Net on both sides are the flags which mean Neter, divinity. In the center of the pylons at the bottom is the opening to the temple, and above that is a pyramidal structure which symbolizes the four equilateral planes of the universe and the mystic number 4. Above that, at the very top, is the cow hieroglyph, which means rising. It symbolizes the sun rising between the mountains, the Akhet symbol, and for the initiate, the emergence of spirit consciousness. Net Nesu Metu Neter Vina Jedef Nesu Hatepni Neperpen Menket Mert Hepset Neb Enkaen Geri Hepert SSN Emhetne Inat Ren Jetta Net Nesuma Punater Emina Jedef Nesu Hatepti Neperkeru Menket Mort Hepset Neb Enkai Gary Hepertep SSN Mhetnet Enat Ren Jeta Net Nesuma Puneter Amine Jeref Nesu Hetepti Net Perkelu Menket Mot Hepset Net Kayan Gary Hepertep SSN Mhetnet Ena Ren Jeta Net Nesuma Puneter Amine Jeref Nesu Hetepti Net Perkeru Menket Mot Hepset Neb Enkayan Gary Hepertep SSN Mhetnet Ena Ren Jeta Duamu Kerefu Benefem Heru Akuti Anate Shekira Nefer Neruben Duamu Kerefu Benefem Heru Akuti Anate Shekira Nefer Neruben Duamu Kerefu Benefem Heru Akuti Anate Shekira Nefer Neruben Duamu Kerefu Benefem Heru Akuti Anate Shekira Nefer Neruben Ali Jensegert Aset Uru Kef Uru Nesudi Hatep Net Perkelu Bidi Eskau Abamonet Nefer Shepsi Et Net Nesudi Hatep Net Perkelu Bidi Eskau Abamonet Nefer Shepsi Etne Ate Nesudi Hetep Net Perkeru Didi Eskau Abamonet Nefer Shepsi Etne Ate Nesudi Hetep Net Perkeru Lidi eska uavamune nefroshepsi ne te tua imshamsu in nebrager urseshu in keperu dua asa nebrestau paut neteru at ami netekert anetet hirkikenti amentet un nefer ab abdu matentu ai ku an nek rati resta seteka seger aku sari nas ubed center set mk def sit neta oni entet hena yash nete asar Erdit endek en ari eru hena herme endes ari eru aus Duatepi Ari Sech Ab Ua Neter Abu Pen Ha Asar Abu Pen Asar Sver M Eri Arit Bert Nehas Sa Uajit A Neter Asar Ari Heru Het M A Set Abuyen Tuchen Medujeyan Aset Sam Ujat Setep Saher Amseti Enti Amsa Asar Sa Amset Asar Amset Medujeyan Nebet Het Apsheta Ari Besa Happy Enti Sa Asar Sa Happy Asar Pu Happy Medujeyan Net Sedua Ra Semesher Ru Neb Ari Maket En Duamutef Enti Amsa Asar Sa Duamutef Asar Pu Duamutef Meduze Yan Serket Inkake Sekedek Sa Ru Neb Ari Maket En Kwebstunef Entet Amsa Asar Sa Kwebsunef Asar Pu Kwebsunef Yana Terra Emnuen Duacheta Yana Terra Emnuen Duacheta Never Judge Anatet hit asar, putra, makti sake, setu sakake. Neberger jeg, anatet hit asar, putra, makti sake, setu sakake. Neberger jeg, anatet hit asar, putra, makti sake, setu sakake. Neberger jeg, anatet hit asar, putra, makti sake, setu sakake. Adi Jen Sefer, Ari Duaker, Ekal Uashu, Net Duane, Sefekera Sunwe, Net Duane, Sefekera Senwe, Net Duane, Sefekera Senwe. Net duane sefekera senue. Amun, mun, ansu. Amun, mun, ansu. Amun, mun, ansu. Amun, mun, ansu. Om Amun-Ra. Om Amun-Ra. Om Amun-Ra. Om Amun-Ra. Om Asara Seru. Om Asara Seru. Om Asara Seru. Om Asara Seru. Keru, Keru ma Keru, Keru ma Keru, Keru ma Keru. Ascend, 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 ascend. Amun-Ra Neter Ankuja Sene Arineteru Amun-Ra Neter Ankuja Sene Arineteru Amun-Ra Neter Ankuja Sene Arineteru Amun-Ra Nefer Ankuja Sene Arineteru Duara Nuk Atien Caperu Nuk Atien Caperu Nuk Atien Caperu Nuk Atien Caperu Erheru 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 Jua tu heru Jua tu keru Jua tu heru Jua tu keru Dua tu heru. Dua tu heru. Dua tu heru. Dua tu heru. Nuke Nebuchadnezzar. Nuke Nebuchadnezzar. Nuke Nebuchadnezzar. Nuke Nebuchadnezzar. Nefer Remtra in Aton. Nefer Remtra in Aton. Nefer Remtra in Aton. Nefer Remtra in Aton. Makeru Wemba Nebejer. Makeru Wemba Nebejer. Makeru Wemba Nebejer. Makeru Wemba Nebejer. Nuke Ua Kua. Nuke Ua Kua. Nuke Ua Kua. Nuke Ua Kua. Nukmat, 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 Newt, 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 Asar, 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 Asar. Asar, 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 asar. Pete au, Ank Shek, Uas Hena, Nefu, Kepetu, Mbaat, Mdejasu, Sonu Imhotep. Aset, Ua Suja Heru, Suja Menut, Nebu Sen, F Set, F Sen, Asar, Aset, Etepi, Suja Aulitu Yasor, Neshashu, Nebu, M U Shemu, Met Metu, Tau, Sep, Nebu Nesh, Teta, Ua Menti, Eru, Kut Teken, An At, Tesu Kem, Hena, Sefa, Ha Ra, Bijit Kat, Hena Asar, Peta Keperu, Medut Ra, Kat, Nefi Asar, Keperu, Uahai, Uaker. Nunuk Aset, Perke, Nayet, Ret Enau, Saturn, Sa Medu and Jehudi, Tep, Ma'at, M Pet, Ta Atert, Aset Neter, Nefer Ger, Hu Ank, Seske, S De, A Ament, Sa, Enken, Hu F Nen, Au F, Ready F, Nepkep, Dit Etep, F Her, FT, Ent, and F Tawi, Uahai, Uaker. Keru ma keru. Keru ma keru. Keru Nerai mesra, nerai mesra, nerai mesra, nerai mesra. Nuk kepra em duau, ra emahauf, temu ami mesheri. Nuk kepra em duau, ra emahauf, temu ami mesheri. Nuk kepra em duau, ra emahauf, temu ami mesheri. Uahai uaker. Says Neter, Neter, Mu, Neter, Ah, Jeseri, Ziseri, Neter, Neter, Mu, Neter, Ah, Jeseri, Ziseri, Neter, Neter, Ooh, Never, Jesseri, Sisheri, Netter, Netter, Ooh, Never, Jesseri, Zisheri. Washeri. Watefaha. AEM Module. Mete, Emma, Mete, Emma, Mete, Emma, Mete, Peace, 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 peace. Attempt, dua, attempt.
Uja, greetings everyone. So here we are. This is the schematic outlines that we are currently discussing from a panel in the Great Hypostyle Hall of the Karnak Temple. And we have done the first two lines, and now we're going to line 3. We spent considerable time on line 2 because of the I guess the specialness, if that's a word, of the line in relation to the pupils of the eye of intuition, or the eyes of wisdom. Here we have Jehuti with a piece of sanctified cloth, and he's essentially taking in the dimensions of the universe, what he thinks they should be, and as a conception in his mind, so that the intellect, the cosmic intellect, measuring and working out the dimensions of the universe. And recall from line 1 that he is the Lord of Kemenu, the 8 divinities, these 8 gods and goddesses. And they, in essence, make up the structure of the universe. So he's working out the whole Nunet, who had Kokoket, Amun-Ra scheme as a mental concept. And we went from that to him actually bringing the pupils of the eye of intuition. And so we discussed in some detail the implications of that. And now we're going to line 3. So it's going to be a quick scroll through the document that we're building as we're going along. So line 3. KSW3 means Karnak Southwest, line 3, epic, the original name of the temple. Let me bring out my pen. So, Amun-Ra Nebdawi Ursama Atra Satepenra Merked. Hidden witnessing consciousness essence of Creator Spirit consciousness, and who is Lord of the two lands of Upper and Lower Egypt, Kemet, one who has strength in the consciousness of truth and righteousness, has been chosen by Creator Spirit consciousness. He loves spiritual things. As Amun-Ra loves spiritual things, so does Ursama Atra Satepenra. Strength established in righteousness and truth, chosen by Creator Spirit consciousness. Loves spiritual things. Therefore, Amun-Ra and Ursama Atra Satepenra are the same, of the same essence, and there is no difference between them. In reality, they are one and the same. So firstly, this conjugation of divinities here. Amun-Ra. Here is the Ra portion. And this is the Amun portion is here. So Amun-Ra. Amun relates to witnessing consciousness, and Ra relates to Creator Spirit consciousness. And Amun also means hidden. So the hidden witnessing consciousness of Creator Spirit consciousness. The hidden essence of Creator Spirit consciousness. There is something within you that is your witnessing consciousness self. And that witnessing consciousness, if there are certain meditations that you can do to experience yourself as the witness, as the witnessing self, not what is being witnessed, but the aspect of witnessing itself. In this theological framework, the god Amun is the god of Thebes, and Ra is the god of Anu. So when you conjugate them, what you're saying is that these two divinities are essentially aspects of one supreme divine. So the hidden aspect of creator spirit consciousness, Ra. Ra relates to cosmic mind. The mind. You see Jehuti stretching out and conceiving in his mind is essentially Ra as well. Ra is the cosmic mind, the conceiver of creation. He does this, and he does the act of creation through his form of Khepera. So Ra conceived, and Khepera performs the creation. So Khepera is essentially the manifestation of the conception of Ra. And then Amun is the inner witness of this manifestation. So what we have here is a sophisticated system of what is called henotheism, meaning all of the gods and goddesses are essentially attributes of each other, and they arise out of the same supreme mystery, which we refer to as Nebuchadnezzar. And there are other names. Paneter is another name. Net is another name, if you want to use the female aspect. And this Amun-Ra, you see him, he usually has he's an anthropomorphic form. He also has a zoomorphic form. But in his anthropomorphic form, he has the tall headdress with the two plumes, which are essentially Aset and Nebuchadnezzar. This Amun-Ra is Neb-Tawi. He's Lord of the two lands. So he's the supreme leader of the two lands is not a human being per se. The pharaoh is a stand-in for that spirit essence that is the true ruler of the lands. It is the spirit consciousness that is ruling the lands. And the priests and priestesses, the Purdah, us as followers of mystical tradition, what we are doing is that we are enacting the Ma'atian principle of that divine in time and space. So it is not us that's doing it from the basis of ego. And we are operating the truth of that divine in time and space. And that's the role of the priests and priestesses, the role of the Purdah, who is commonly referred to as the pharaoh. Here you have a structure I'll outline it for you. That is referred to as a cartouche. But it's actually, the Kemetic term for it is Shenu. And it typically holds the name of the Purdah, of the pharaoh. And here that name is Versama'atra Setepenra, which means strength, established in righteousness and truth, chosen by Creator Spirit, consciousness. So this idea of, so arguably, the Christian idea of chosen by God and all of that. The basis is in the in Setepenra, in ancient Egyptian Kemetic philosophy. So Setepenra means chosen by Creator Spirit Consciousness. Ursa, strength, establishment in Ma'at, truth, righteousness. So Amun-Ra, who is the Lord of the Two Lands, is essentially, see, what's going on here is that Amun-Ra and Ursa Ma'at-Ra are essentially the same. So the Pur'a, every Pur'a is every pharaoh, and the term pharaoh by itself is problematic because of its connotation in Western culture. The correct term is Pur'a, which means great house. And perhaps at some later time I'll do, maybe, who knows, I'll do a presentation on why the term pharaoh is problematic, because the negative connotation that's associated with it through Western culture. And that negative connotation cannot be, and people have looked, cannot be supported or is not supported by any evidence. So this Creator Spirit Consciousness essence is the very basis of this personality, who is Ursa Ma'at-Ra Setepenra, commonly referred to as Ramses. And you have Ramses 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. And they all have the same name. The term Ramesu is the one that's referred to as Ramses. So this Ursa Ma'at-Ra Setepenra he's established in righteousness and truth and chosen by Creator Spirit. This should not be taken to mean that this person is chosen by the divine over all else. So all else, everyone else is supposed to be under the foot or the domination of this person. What it means is that if you are established in truth, you are essentially being chosen by your own inner Creator Spirit Consciousness nature as established on your own throne of mystic wisdom. So that this is not the idea of a chosen people over all other people and things like that. This is a mystical system whereby your self-discovery is what relays to you your own chosenness of your own inner higher consciousness. And then if there is a misunderstanding, then this kind of teaching can be corrupted. And these are very subtle, abstract, metaphysical principles relating to the spiritual journey of a human being. And not, it doesn't have a biological or an ethnic connotation. So this personality loves spiritual things. Merket. So think about the life of a human being. What do they love? They might love traveling, or love painting, or love their wife or their husband. But this person that loves spiritual things. So think about when you're in the some people can't even approach a ritual. It's too hard for them, or if they can't even approach a mystical teaching because it's too spiritual. It's too abstract. They need a literal interpretation of divinity to function. And so a literal interpretation can be considered like a process. It's not necessarily a metaphysical or spiritual process from the strict definition of mysticism. So Amun-Ra, the Lord of the Two Lands, who is the Pharaoh, loves spiritual things. And that relates to the pragmatic spiritual things like rituals and chanting, hekal, words of power. It also relates to the love of the spiritual thing, of the exploration of the higher consciousness within. So there's a love for absorption and attunement with spirit consciousness. So this term, Nebtawi, Lord of the Two Lands, relate to purification of the higher and lower self. And it relates to the realization of the illusory nature of the lower self. And therefore, if that is discovered, then the lower self, you rule the lower self. The lower self does not rule you. So you are ruler on the higher and the lower lands. Because to rule in the higher lands, you have to be established in that higher spirit consciousness. So you become a master of the higher lands. And in doing so, you become chosen by your own inner higher consciousness. And the chosen relates to the capacity to become absorbed in higher consciousness. The point is that it doesn't happen through your ego. It's not your ego that's going to push you and absorb you in higher consciousness. Let's say Nebuchadnezzar consciousness. There's something within you that has to validate your establishment in truth, that then removes the barrier, the opacity to the absorption in higher consciousness realization. You're not going to ego yourself into higher consciousness. If you have a literal interpretation of of the spiritual process. That is what you're trying to do, but that doesn't work. You're trying to use your ego, and you can see the results of that. You just take a look at what's going on right now. The results of that lead to untold problems, psychospiritual, social issues, problems. Can't get along with other people, etc., etc. You know what's going on. But if you have a mystical interpretation or a mystical process, then this idea of being chosen is not obscured, not polluted by the ego. So what it is occurring is that you have removed the barriers to your own inner higher consciousness nature. And by doing so, you have attenuated the ego, and therefore, as if chosen, entered into higher consciousness realms. The point they're trying to make is become established in truth and righteousness. And that gets you into higher consciousness realms. Another point before we go relating to this that I briefly want to make is the idea of Amun-Ra and I think later on I'm going to do an extensive dissemination on the idea that Akhenaten was a heretic, and he hated the Amun priesthood and all of this kind of thing. There's no evidence that Akhenaten broke away from the Amun priesthoods in the manner that he hated them. He hacked out Amun's name all over the temples, and he was against the Amun priesthood. And how I know that that's speculation is because I looked at the text, at the available evidence, and the available evidence doesn't support that narrative. So that narrative is speculation at best. So here, Amun-Ra, hidden essence of creator spirit consciousness, and notice the term Ra. Now, if we look at here, okay, here is this is an artifact that is found in the Cairo Museum. And here is Akhenaten, Pharaoh Akhenaten, his wife, and their daughter. And they're in the act of worship of Aton, who is overhead. And you can see the rays coming from the sun disk, from the Aton. And this is just one piece of evidence that refutes that idea that Akhenaten is a heretic, and etc., etc. Recall you were shown Amun-Ra, and you were given a view into the idea of the Ursama Atra Setepin Ra, chosen by Ra, chosen by creator spirit consciousness. So the Pharaoh is chosen by creator spirit consciousness. So backing off of the very subtle deep mysticism for a moment to focus on the idea of being chosen by Creator Spirit Consciousness. Here's a cartouche of, and in the Shenu is the name of Akhenaten, Ak and Aten. And what does it say above his name? It says Sa-Ra, son of Ra. So philosophically, this refutes the idea that he hated the Amun priesthood, because an aspect of Amun is Ra, and he is chosen by Ra. One of the reasons that he doesn't mention Amun that much is due to mystical reasons. If you're taking the perspective that Amun is the hidden, unfabricated, absolute consciousness, from a perspective of some mystics, they don't even call that name, because they don't even call it a name, because it is essentially nameless, attributeless, unfabricated. It's absolute, so it really doesn't have a name. You can call it Nebuchadnezzar, but Nebuchadnezzar is not a name. Nebuchadnezzar is a descriptor. You can call it Amun, but Amun is not a name. Amun is a descriptor. So Amun means hidden. Nebuchadnezzar means Lord of the utmost limits. So these are not names. These are labels. So from the perspective of a mystic, why even try to label something that is essentially beyond the mind's conception? It doesn't make metaphysical, it doesn't make mystical sense to try to do that. And this is just one piece of evidence that shows the idea that this idea that Akhenaten was against the Amun priesthood is untenable. And this is a work that was commissioned by him. You see his face. Worshipping the Atun and calling himself the son of Ra. It's like, that doesn't make sense. So anyway, Dua everyone. If you haven't seen the documentary as yet, please do. The feedback has been very positive. The reviews have been very positive. People really like it and enjoying it. The one word that keeps coming back, what people say about it, is that it's great. That's the common word in all the comments. It's great, great, great. So remember, Jehuti is a 3 times great. Okay, dua everyone. Until we meet again. And dua for another beautiful devotion. Heta.